Hi guys, my name's Claire and I am one of the organizers of 100 Days of Activism. Really quickly before this video starts, I just wanted to introduce who you'll be hearing from today. Her name is V and she is a medical assistant and nurse in training, and she will be talking about how Black women are in particular are treated in OBGYN practices and why and how that needs to change. If you're interested in sharing your perspective in a video like this, please reach out to me. These are my accounts and I will get back to you and we can help organize this. And of course, you will be compensated for your time. Also, if you are interested in getting updated whenever 100 Days of Activism releases a task, please text this code to 81010. And with that, enjoy the rest of the video.
Is V. I am a certified medical assistant. I am a nurse in training, and I am soon to be a medical school student. Today, I am going to be discussing an issue that many Black women, including myself, have faced, which is the stereotype of sexualization of Black women in gynecological settings and how that affects care. So, there is a decades, centuries old stereotype that actually dates back to slavery that Black women are perceived to be more promiscuous or more sexually active than other races. This dates back to slavery when patient owners would often rape the Black women that were slaves, and the white women that were married to the white plantation owners, right, they would, get jealous, and that would perpetuate kind of the stereotype that Black women and Black men are more sexually promiscuous than others. So how does this affect Black women in the healthcare setting? It affects Black women in a lot of ways, and there are a lot of things that you can do and discuss with your healthcare provider to actually kind of stop this stereotype in its tracks and to educate yourself. How does this affect Black women in the healthcare settings? Well, so Black women may often be perceived as having more promiscuous sexual behaviors, and as a result, judgment may be passed, and they may be offered, services that they may not necessarily need. For example, a Black woman in her teens may not be sexually active, although she may be offered gynecological care that would only be applicable to a sexually active individual, right? So, for example, instead of asking, this woman, are you sexually active, right? The assumption would have already been made that she's sexually active, well, because she's a Black woman, and thus she's offered, services that she may not necessarily be emotionally ready for at this stage in her life. There may be judgments passed, right? So as a result, there may be more hostility shown towards, Black women by a gynecological provider because they may not approve of the lifestyle choices or whatever, right? And so that can really be an issue. Black women's sexual behavior may not be taken seriously, right? So there may be a note under a medical record stating, oh, the patient, states this but implied this, right? So for example, a Black woman may state that she is monogamous, but a medical provider could, the patient states she is monogamous, but it is implied that perhaps she has more than one sexual partner, correct? So that's an example of something that could be written on the medical record that is, one, passing judgment, and B, maybe factually incorrect because of this prevalent, still very prevalent stereotype that Black women are more promiscuous than, women of other races. So what can you do about this stereotype? Well, if you're a healthcare provider, educate yourself. Educate yourself on the history of this stereotype, right? That's probably the best thing that you can do. With all stereotypes in general, but especially this one, because if you know why, you are able to um, acknowledge if your thinking is biased yourself, first and foremost. Secondly, do stop your biased thinking in your tracks, right? So if you say, this Black woman, she might be, sexually active. Ask yourself, why do you think that? Has she mentioned anything that might be indicative that she is a sexually active individual? Or are you just making that judgment based on prior, stereotypes that you have? Ask yourself, demand from your thinking context clues, right? So you need to be a critical thinker, and you need to be actively fighting against those biases. You need to take what your patient is saying in context, right? And you can't automatically, as I've learned working in a healthcare setting, nothing is really as it seems. There can be a lot of other underlying things going on, but we can't always assume that there are underlying things, right? So that's very important. Another thing that you can do, not as a healthcare provider, but maybe if you're accompanying your friend or lover or someone close to you to a doctor's appointment, if you feel that there are implicit biases in action, such as this one, or implicit stereotypes in action, stop yourself. Stop, make an effort to speak up and advocate for this person if you feel like they aren't advocating for themselves. Make an effort to speak up, advocate for their needs if you feel that they aren't advocating for themselves, and you, in your place of privilege, are able to recognize that something may be going on. So it always goes back to that old saying, if you see something, do say something, right? And of course, medical providers, we all have our own implicit biases. So, we could be making assumptions without even realizing it. So, if you see something, do say something to your provider, and that may help them to get their own internal biases in check as well. So, there you are. Stay safe and stay healthy, folks.